this Afrotech conference in Austin, and it was really cool. I mean, I was just like, I want to be around people that probably descend from the Israelites and look like me, because we're brothers and sisters, and we have different skin colors and that kind of thing, doesn't mean that people like accept you as their brother. And I've been to a lot of churches that are, predominantly white or predominantly some other race or like mixed churches, and there's still like this ostracizing that goes on based on skin color. But part of me doesn't think it's completely skin color. Part of me thinks it's ostracizing based on spirit, because the spirit in a lot of these churches isn't actually the spirit of the Messiah. A lot of them have a false Messiah, and so when the truth comes in, they get a very standoffish, and some people have even tried to kick me out of the church before, just have gone off on me, like all sorts of things. So, but there still is that prejudice a little bit inside of these churches. So I said, well, let's go see who I can talk to about their heritage, telling them that we descend from the tribes of Israel. And so I did get to speak to a couple people concerning that. Definitely not a lot of people, but it's all right. So ended up going to, they have this like, I guess you can say after party at the convention center, like the official Afrotech after party. There were some artists there named Bia, which is basically just Megan Thee Stallion but skinny. And it's like the same thing all the time. But what was funny about it is these are like tech people. These are like tech and business and like creators and that kind of thing. And it felt like to me they weren't impressed. Like, we see the same junk over and over and over. Some girl on stage twerking, talking about how she's a badass in her sex life. And it's just like, can we have more? And you felt it. Like, even the DJs were on stage like, y'all are lame. And I don't think it's like people were being lame. It's just, this is so repetitive and it's getting old. But I wanted to mention that. But also, you can support black people, but it doesn't mean that they're doing the will of Yah. So, I mean, what are you doing at Afrotech? Most of these businesses that are recruiting, they're not black-owned businesses. They're businesses that are owned by people who probably kidnap kids and sell them on the sex trade. They're trying to get you to come into their companies and work for them so they can meet a quota, so they can get more business from people that look like you. And so this is where these people are being recruited into. I mean, when they go into these companies, they're probably really not going to be treated much better, despite the fact there being like 10 more black people than what there was last year or whatever the deal is. And even just the whole Afrotech, many of the managers and the higher ups, they weren't black. Like, they were white for the most part. And it's just weird that they chose these representatives that are not black at the Afrotech festival to represent them. Don't get me wrong, like, you can be down for the cookout or whatever the deal is, but at the end of the day, these people aren't Israelites. Like, they're not. And so it felt kind of like, okay, this is the same thing as like the slave versus master mentality, where still the people that are in control are not you. And so I actually ended up working for a company, I won't mention who it was, but yeah. They were just being extremely disrespectful. Not the company itself, it was actually the people that they hired to set up the event. It was weird because we don't typically go through those people, but for some reason they were telling us what to do, when to do it. They were disrespectful. All of them were non-black. I don't think they had one black person, in fact. And I don't know. To me, it was just weird. I'm just like, you're hired at an Afrotech, an African or like African American tech festival, and you're supposed to be like respectful and understand, where we came from, our history of slavery and all this kind of stuff. But it wasn't that. It was like they were still trying to crack the whip, not wanting to give breaks, speaking disrespectfully. It was really something. It was definitely something that made me realize, like, you can't just live in this world as a black person. Like, you're probably going to have your own stuff. Otherwise, people are just going to continue doing those things. It doesn't matter if it has the label of African on it or not. Like, it doesn't matter. They're going to come in and they're going to try to find some way to take over it or ruin it or whatever it is for you. And the reason is not just because we're black, but because we descend from Israel. So, they want to get black people on board with this new world order. And so they need black people to come into agreement with their businesses and to be a representation and that kind of thing. But also, at this after party, they had 2 arches that were labeled libations. Why are you putting that in this party? Like, what does this have to do with anything? And then I started to think about Travis, what is his name, Parker, whoever's baby daddy, whichever Kardashian trick has her baby daddy, Porter, maybe that's who it is. there were portals opened in his concert, and this is why there were all these issues concerning those people dying. So I'm like, yeah, definitely not going to walk under the libations arch, because they are trying to deceive black people into the spirituality, but then they're not doing anything different. Like this Bia chick is up on the stage being half naked and twerking. That's not spiritual, okay? Her talking about all her money and her materialism, it's not spiritual. But then there's this libations aspect. So what is this really about? Like, what's it really about? This is all confusion, in my opinion. I don't know. And then there was just like obvious symbology, third eye symbology, the number 6. Egyptian symbology and that kind of thing, and there was a lot of people wearing that kind of symbology. There wasn't anything that was really pertaining to Christianity at all, which was surprising to me, because I'm like, this is a huge part of our culture as well, like the Southern Baptist churches. So that this conference is just likely for people that just want money and status and that kind of thing, and it's there as another deception to an extent, to keep black people in the world, because it's like you would talk to some of these black people, and not all of them were bad, but they were very fake, a lot of them, and that's what happens when you don't have a lot of energy. And I understand, like, sometimes I feel like I have to be fake because I just don't have energy. I'm in marketing, but the care is not there. So it's all about what you can do for them. With myself, no, I'll be fake, whatever the deal is. At the end of the day, I still care about the person that I'm talking to. So that was quite intriguing. A lot of networking was going on, of course, because people are trying to build their brands and their businesses. There is actually this really awesome company that is trying to build in Tulsa, Oklahoma again. Because there used to be Black Wall Street back in the day, but the government ended up basically blowing it up because black people were being successful, or shall I say, descendants of Israel were being successful. And that's really scary for them, because Judah's supposed to be the ruler. So a lot of people descending from Judah, they would actually rule over these people. That's scary for them. They wouldn't have the dominion that they have with all these companies. But anyway, as I was saying, these people are trying to build Tulsa again, but they're trying to change it more so into a tech hub. So that's kind of exciting. They are backed by like billions of dollars, he said. So I think it's definitely going to happen. But I think the unfortunate thing is, unlike the past, where it was probably built on Christian values and on a foundation, because that's really where a lot of black people come from, it's probably going to be built heavily on spirituality and materialism, just worldliness. It's unfortunate, but you can always bring God into wherever you are. I ended up going out last night to this Afrobeat party, because I just love to dance and I love Afrobeat, but I kept saying to myself, I don't think I'm really supposed to be here. And towards the end of the night, this guy approached me and he was like, oh, do you want to dance? And I was like, no, not really. Like, I'm just here to kind of chill by myself and just, get some things off my shoulders. And so he continued talking to me anyway, and we were asking each other's questions, and then I started to bring up how I was a Christian, and I don't know, he asked me more questions, and then he was like, well, how do you feel being here? Like, there's no conflict for you that you're just a Christian and at a party right now? And the more he spoke, like, I started to get some conviction. I was like, you know what, I shouldn't be here, you're right. And then I ended up leaving. So that was actually really a blessing. But the weird thing is, he said he was a Christian too, and he stayed, and I'm like, how you gonna call me out and not do anything? But yeah, the truth of the matter is, we're really not supposed to be too tied up in that kind of stuff. I have gone to a club before, and I've literally talked to people about Christ, and I remember one guy, he was actually praying. He said he was praying like for some time, because he wanted to get out of his life. Like, he wanted out, and he wanted to talk to God and hear from God again. And so I happened to be in the club at that time, and I was kind of like scouting for people, like, I'm gonna talk to as many people here about Christ type deal. And I ended up talking to him, and he was so thankful about it. It was really cool. So yeah, sometimes we go in the trenches, but it was like that guy was in the trenches, and he was kind of digging me out of something. It was amazing. He definitely leaves the 99 to go find the one, but yeah, we shouldn't be too entangled in the worldly stuff at all. And people need to know that the Father is going to destroy a lot of this. So while we're trying to build our businesses and trying to be the next CEO or have a 6-figure income, it's not going to matter here soon, because it's, many people even took the vaccine and that kind of thing. They were literally like making people take the vaccine for this event. Or you had to have proof of a negative test and that kind of thing. And I won't tell you how I got in. But anyway, it definitely wasn't through taking the vaccine. But, because I'm not doing that to myself. But that's the thing, like, because people took this vaccine, many of these people are going to be destroyed as well. So they're giving you the false hope of building your future and having a 6-figure income and all that nonsense, and you're likely going to die here in a couple of years. So, yeah, what can you really do? Like, what can you do? There's like so many people deceived right now, it's not even funny. It's really not even funny. And another thing that you see the Israelites and Judah struggling with is just their vanity. There was so much weave, so much like fake eyelashes and all piled on makeup, and I'm like, wow, like we really just don't even know who we are. But the cool thing about my booth is we were giving out these hats. One said visionary, one said creator, one said innovator, one said change maker, and the last one said back in the culture. I liked it because people would come up and they'd be like, oh yeah, like I don't know what to identify with. Like I feel like I'm all of these things, or they were choosing between two or three. Some people were like, yeah, I have no idea. And so, I was trying to encourage them and make some clarity by asking questions, finding out who they are, and then it became clear. And some people would be like, oh, who do you think I am? And I'd be like, yeah, you definitely give me visionary and, change maker vibes. And they're like, actually, those are the hats that I was thinking of. And so it was cool just helping people with their identity, because the Father has really given us talents and giftings and leanings in order to bring his purpose, or in order to walk out our purpose in his kingdom. But when we don't know him, we end up walking out our purpose in the kingdom of darkness, which is really what all this is. Meta was there and Amazon was there. These are dark companies. They are. You're using your God-given talents and purpose to serve these people, when really what you should be doing is using it to serve the kingdom of God. I used to be a fashion designer for this company called Licenza. The designs I used to make, they were very sexy, to say the least. And because of that sexiness, there's just no way that I could be right with God. And so God took it away for a little bit. I thought he was taking it away for good, but that wasn't the case. Like, my friend kept coming to me and saying, I feel like, God wants to return that to you. And I was like, okay, whatever, Majesta, like, I'm done with this. It's just causing me to be vain. And so I'm done. And then the third time she had said it, she was like, just pray about it. And so I did. And then I asked the Father, and my Bible flipped open to Proverbs 31, where it talks about how the Proverbs 31 woman, she makes linen garments for her people. And I was like, it was crazy. Like, I was literally learning about linen at that point, because one of my sisters had healed from a third-degree burn by just covering her wounds in linen. And so I was really interested in it. And so to flip open the Bible to that point where, this woman is making linen garments for her people, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm supposed to make linen garments for my people, and they're supposed to be modest and, like, well made and something unique. And, that's what the Father has called me to do. I haven't had a chance to do it yet, just because, I live in a van and it makes it very difficult to sew things together. But this is the case with these lost Israelites, Judah and Israel. And, somebody had questioned me about that. You want to see Judah, what are you talking about? He was probably assuming black people don't descend from these tribes, as you do, because they don't really know much history about the Ashkenazi Jews nor black people. So they just assume the people in Israel are the only Jews, like there was just white people in Israel at that point. But yeah, I mean, that area was considered Africa at one point. But anyway, so yeah, these people have all these amazing talents and leanings, and they're doing it all to serve another kingdom. It's just kind of frustrating. It's all there to look glamorous and to make it seem like you're doing something super amazing. I'm working for Dell or I'm working for Tesla or whatever the deal is, and they literally can give two craps about you, but they will act like they care about you because you're money and because they want to fill that quota of having black people so that they don't look racist. So anyway, other than that, it was an amazing event. I got to be around Judah and other Israelites and just see their perspectives, and got a lot of encouragement and, a lot of help from people that I can't get. Like, I've been doing marketing for a long time, and just the amount of people that were willing to help me was, like, insane. So anyway, you guys be blessed and have a good one. Bye.